My brother got my wife pregnant. But karma hit when she left him for another man. There's a kind of silence that doesn't come from peace, but from shock. The kind that happens when your world folds in on itself, and you're just sitting there, blinking, holding a fork midair while your wife tells you she's pregnant, and it's not yours. That's how I learned. At dinner, at our kitchen table, on a Monday, she put down her glass of wine, which she hadn't even touched, and stared at me with eyes that weren't hers anymore. Chris, I'm pregnant. I blinked. What? And then, before I could even react, before I could ask the obvious question, she followed up with, "It's Jason's." Jason, my brother. I didn't scream. I didn't flip the table. I just stared at her like she was a stranger who had broken into my house wearing my wife's skin. Say that again, I said. She didn't. She just looked away. Let me rewind. My name is Chris Walker, 36 years old, quiet guy, software engineer, born and raised in Denver, Colorado. Married to Emily, my wife of 7 years. She's smart, organized, always put together. The kind of woman you trust to plan your life with, until one day she drops a bomb so big it wipes out everything you built. And Jason? He's 2 years younger. The fun one. Life of the party. Never kept a job longer than a year. Always borrowing money. Always messing up, and somehow always getting forgiven. When we were kids, he'd wreck something, and I'd be the one punished for not watching him closely enough. That pattern never changed. 2 months before that dinner, Emily started acting off. She'd stay late at work more often. Started going for morning jogs, even though she hated running. Would shower at weird hours, leave her phone face down, laugh at texts and pretend they were from her coworkers. I'm not an idiot. I noticed. But you don't want to believe your wife, the woman who once cried because you forgot an anniversary, would go and do something like this. You tell yourself you're being paranoid, that it's stress, that the spark always fades a little. You never think she's sleeping with your brother. Why? I asked. It was all I could get out. Emily just shook her head. It wasn't planned. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did, I said, voice flat. Repeatedly. She didn't deny it. Didn't beg. Didn't even apologize. I didn't want to lie anymore, she said. I thought you deserved the truth. Deserved the truth. Like she was doing me a favor. Like I should be grateful she was telling me while I still had time to digest it before the baby showed up. I pushed away from the table and walked out of the room. She didn't follow me. I stood on the front porch in bare feet, feeling the cold concrete under my skin, hearing nothing but my heart pounding in my ears. Jason, of all the people, of every person on earth, she chose my screw-up little brother. The one person I had warned her about from day one. And now he was going to be a father. To a child made from my wife. Later that night, she packed a bag and left. No goodbye. No final blowout. Just gone. And me? I sat in the living room for hours, staring at nothing, wondering how long it had been going on. I got the answer a few days later from my cousin Luke, who apparently saw Emily and Jason having lunch together months earlier. I thought it was weird, he said. Didn't think it was that weird. Turns out, it had been going on for over a year. Sneaking around while I worked overtime, while I fixed up our backyard, while I planned a surprise trip to Oregon for our anniversary. And during all that, they were laughing, touching, lying. My parents didn't say much. My mom, bless her heart, looked at me like I had died. My dad, always the diplomat, said, "We need to keep the family together." I nearly laughed in his face. The family? I said. There is no family. The worst part? Jason didn't even deny it. When I finally confronted him face to face, he just shrugged. It happened, man. I didn't plan it. But I love her. He said it like that. Like he'd stolen my car. Not my wife. I walked away. Because if I hadn't, I might have done something I couldn't take back. That was just the beginning. Because what happened next wasn't karma. Not yet. But it was coming. And when it didn't knock politely. It blew the whole damn door off its hinges. After Emily walked out, I half expected someone to come to their senses. Maybe my mom would call me crying, saying she couldn't believe what Emily and Jason did. Maybe Jason would leave some desperate message, finally realizing the line he crossed wasn't just bad, it was unforgivable. But what I got was worse. 2 days after she left, I got a text from my mom. "Chris, I know you're hurting, but don't shut Jason out. He didn't mean for this to happen. Followed by, he's scared. He needs his big brother right now. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Scared? He was scared? I was the one who got blindsided at dinner like a joke on a late-night show. I was the one watching the woman I thought I'd grow old with pack a bag and leave because she was carrying my brother's child. And I was supposed to be his support system? Later that week, my dad called. He always had a way of making everything sound diplomatic, like betrayal was just another negotiation. Chris, look, you and Emily were already having problems. It's not ideal, I agree. But maybe this is a second chance for everyone. A second chance? I bit down so hard on my own tongue that I tasted blood. Do you even hear yourself? I said. Silence. Then a sigh. Family isn't perfect, son. But it's what we've got. That's when I realized something that gutted me deeper than anything Emily had done. My family had made their choice. And it wasn't me. For the next month, I went quiet. I blocked Jason, muted every group text, stopped returning my mom's calls, unsubscribed from their nonsense. I needed space, time, a new routine. I started going to the gym again, volunteered at a community tutoring center, found myself sitting on the back porch most nights in silence, watching the light fade like it was therapy. And honestly, I began to breathe again. Until one afternoon, my cousin Luke called me again. Hey, man. I know you're probably tired of hearing about them, but you need to know something. What now? I muttered. She's pregnant. Again. I froze. What? Emily. She's pregnant again. But here's the kicker, pause. It's not Jason's this time. I actually dropped my coffee mug. It shattered across the floor, but I didn't move. My brain was locked in place. She left Jason, Luke continued. Apparently started seeing some guy she met at work a couple months back. She's like, living with him now. Nobody knows exactly how long it's been going on. I couldn't even laugh. I just stood there, staring into nothing. I knew Emily was broken, but this was something else. And Jason? He finally got to feel a slice of what I did. Betrayal. Blindside. The slow, sinking realization that the person who whispered love in your ear at night was already halfway into someone else's bed. I didn't reach out. But a week later, Jason did. He texted me, 2:37 a.m. I messed up. I didn't answer. An hour later, you were right. About her. About everything. And the one that followed? She left. She's keeping the baby. Says it's none of my business. And finally, I'm sorry. You ever see someone dig a hole so deep that even their apology echoes? That was Jason. And I'll be honest, for a second, I felt it. That old familiar guilt. That is to be the bigger man. But then I remembered what it felt like to sit across from my wife while she told me my brother got her pregnant. What it felt like to listen to my mom excuse it as family working through things. So I didn't reply. Then came the real twist. My mom called. I almost didn't pick up. But curiosity got the better of me. Chris, she started, voice cracking. We didn't know. She never told us. Jason just found out she was with someone else last week. And she's pregnant again. With his baby. A guy she barely knows. He's gone, Chris. I stayed silent. Then, he's devastated. And we're trying to help, but things are falling apart. I let the silence hang. And then she said it. I think we made a mistake. We shouldn't have pushed you away. It didn't feel like victory. It felt overdue. Like a bank returning your stolen money after years of interest and no apology. That night, I poured a drink. Not to celebrate, but to mark the moment. Because for the first time since it all began, I wasn't the broken one anymore. They were. Emily, Jason, my parents. And I was still standing. I hadn't seen Jason face to face since the day I nearly knocked him out on my front lawn. After what he did, I didn't expect to see him again, not unless I was attending his funeral or court date. But there he was, on my front porch, in the rain, looking like life had chewed him up and spit him out face first into regret. He knocked once, then again, then louder. I opened the door, slowly, and there he stood, hair soaked, hoodie sagging, backpack slung over one shoulder like a teenager who just got kicked out of a friend's house. Hey, he said. I didn't answer. I didn't know where else to go. I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. I figured I'd try here. Still nothing from me. He took a breath. Emily left. You know that. I nodded once. He shifted his weight like the guilt was physically crushing him. She's pregnant. It's not mine. Some guy she met at her new job. She left without saying goodbye. His voice cracked on goodbye. Guess that's karma, huh? I should have felt satisfaction. Maybe part of me did. But what I really felt was numb. Like my anger had been drained out over the past months and replaced with cement. He looked up at me. I messed up, Chris. I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I don't have a job. I don't have money. I don't even have a bed to sleep in tonight. He swallowed. Can I stay here? Just for a while. I studied his face. The bags under his eyes. The bruised ego. The smell of wet desperation coming off him like steam. I thought about every memory. The knife in my back at the dinner table. The pity in our mother's voice. The time he borrowed $500 and ghosted me for 3 months. The way he looked at Emily when he thought I wasn't paying attention. Jason, I said quietly. You're my brother. His face lit up for half a second, a flicker of hope like a match. But you're also the reason I can't say the word marriage without tasting blood. His smile faded. You didn't just sleep with my wife. You didn't just get her pregnant. You made a choice to be the man who broke the one person who always bailed you out. He dropped his gaze. And now you want my couch? He nodded slowly. I'll sleep on the floor, he mumbled. I just need somewhere to stay until I figure things out. I stepped back. Not to let him in, but to shut the door. I hope you find what you're looking for, I said. And then I closed the door in his face. No slam. No drama. Just finality. He knocked again. Then a third time. Then nothing. I stood behind the door, listening, until I heard footsteps retreat. The next day, Mom called. Because of course she did. Jason told me what happened. You turned your back on your own brother? I almost laughed. Funny, I said. That's exactly what he did to me. He needs help, Chris. So did I said. But I didn't get any. Remember? Silence. Then, so this is about revenge? No, I said. It's about self-respect. She didn't call back after that. A week later, I saw Jason again. At the gas station. He looked worse. Thinner. Eyes red. He didn't approach me. Just nodded once as we passed. I nodded back. No hate. No anger. Just distance. And it was enough. That night, I sat on my porch with a whiskey in one hand and the silence in the other. For once, I didn't feel like I owed anyone anything. Not forgiveness. Not shelter. Not brotherhood. They'd all made their choices. Now I was finally making mine. 3 months after shutting the door in Jason's face, I got a letter from my mom. Not a text. Not an email. A real, ink and paper, envelope-stamped letter. Inside, her cursive scratched across 3 pages like she was trying to pour herself into every loop and line. She said she missed me. That holidays didn't feel the same without her firstborn around. That Jason had learned his lesson, and that family couldn't stay broken forever. At the bottom, she wrote, Please come home for Easter. We'll cook your favorite. And we'll leave the past behind us. But I hadn't left the past behind me. Because I kept something. A letter she wrote me the week after I found out about Emily and Jason, one she begged me to destroy. She handed it to me in person, in tears, after she told me to be the bigger man, and not let a mistake split the family. Back then, I was too stunned to argue. But I kept it. Folded it. Stuffed it in my desk drawer with the baby shower invitation and Jason's one-word apology. And now? Now I was bringing it with me. I pulled up to the house that Sunday afternoon. Same gray Honda, same front porch swing that hadn't moved in 20 years. They were waiting inside like they'd rehearsed this reunion. My mom hugged me like nothing had happened. My dad gave me a clap on the back. Jason wasn't there, thankfully. The table was set. My chair was empty. Like they'd left a place for me, just in case guilt won. I sat. Quiet. Calm. Over dinner, my mom talked like nothing had happened. She asked about work. My new house. If I'd been seeing anyone. It was like watching someone audition for a role they'd already lost. When dessert came out, lemon meringue, my favorite, she gave me that look. The one mothers give when they're trying to slip something emotional between slices of pie. It means a lot that you came. I nodded. I'm glad you're here. I nodded again. Then I pulled out the envelope. Her face froze before I even opened it. "I want to read something," I said. Silence. My dad glanced at her. She looked like she wanted to snatch the letter out of my hands. But she didn't. I unfolded the page, cleared my throat, and read, "Chris, I know what Jason and Emily did was horrible. I know you're hurting. But if you tell everyone the details, if you make this into a bigger thing than it has to be, it'll ruin the family. Jason is young. He made a mistake. And Emily, well, maybe she was lonely. You worked a lot. If you can just move past this quietly, we'll figure out how to move forward as a family. But please don't punish everyone over one situation. We all have to carry the burden sometimes. Please don't let this tear us apart." I folded it shut. No one moved. No one breathed. My dad opened his mouth, closed it. My mom's face went pale. I slid the letter across the table toward her. "I kept it," I said, "because I wanted to remember how fast you were willing to make me carry the burden so Jason didn't have to feel the weight of what he did." Tears filled her eyes. "But I wasn't done. You didn't ask how I was doing. You didn't come to see me. You didn't even ask if I was okay. You asked me to hide it." My voice was low, controlled. "And now you want me to smile over pie and pretend none of it happened?" "I was scared," she whispered. "I thought if we lost you both, you didn't lose me." I cut in. "You gave me away." Silence. I stood up, grabbed my jacket. As I reached the door, I turned one last time. "You want a family again? Start by being honest about the one you destroyed." Then I left. I sat in my car for a long time. Didn't cry. Didn't scream. I just exhaled. And for the first time in a year, I felt free. I should have known peace doesn't last. Not in this story. Not with people like Emily. It was a Saturday morning in late spring. I was barefoot, half-dressed, drinking my first cup of coffee and deciding whether I'd bother mowing the lawn when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone, and I definitely wasn't expecting her. Emily stood there like a ghost in jeans and a too-big hoodie. But she wasn't hollow. She was showing. Like 5, maybe 6 months in. And the second I registered that curve under her sweatshirt, I knew we weren't done. Not even close. She didn't wait for an invite. She stepped forward, voice trembling. "Can we talk? Just for a minute." I didn't move. Didn't nod. Didn't stop her either. She took that as permission and walked past me, into the house she used to decorate and control like a museum curator. "Chris," she said, standing in the middle of my living room, clutching her stomach. I didn't know where else to go. I crossed my arms. "You could have gone to Jason." That shut her up for a second. Then, "It's not Jason's." I blinked. "Then the guy you left him for?" She hesitated. Looked down. "It's not his either." I stared at her like she had just admitted to being abducted by aliens. "What do you mean it's not his?" She swallowed. Tears welled up, but I wasn't falling for that trick anymore. "He was married," she whispered. I laughed. Actually laughed. "You left my brother, who you cheated on me with, to go be with some other guy, who you cheated him with, and now you're saying he was married too?" She nodded. "He blocked me. Changed numbers. Said he'd fix things with his wife. I haven't heard from him in 3 months." I shook my head slowly. "You're unbelievable." She sank onto my couch like her knees gave out. "I didn't come here for sympathy," she said. "Good. Because you're not getting any. I came here because I don't know what to do. I'm alone. My parents won't talk to me. Jason told me to go to hell. And your mom, my mom, she told me I ruined both her sons," and hung up. I almost smiled. Not because I enjoy pain, but because this was the moment. The one I'd been waiting for. Where she finally knew what it was like to sit in the dark alone with the echoes of her choices. "What do you want from me, Emily?" She looked up at me like I was her last lifeline. "I don't know. Maybe a place to stay? Just for a few days." I laughed again, louder this time. "You want to stay here?" "Just until I figure things out." I stepped closer. Calm. Ice cold. "Emily, you destroyed my marriage. You slept with my brother. You moved in with another man while carrying Jason's child. And now that you're abandoned, you come crawling back here. What? Hoping I'm still the doormat I used to be." She didn't answer, so I gave it to her straight. "This isn't a shelter. It's not a second chance motel. This is my life now, and you don't belong in it." Tears finally spilled, and for once, they didn't move me, not even a twitch. "I loved you once," she whispered. "No, you love control. You love the feeling of being adored. But you never loved me, not the real me. I opened the door. You should go. She stood, hesitated at the threshold. You're really done with me? I was done the moment you unzipped his jeans while still wearing my ring. She flinched like I slapped her, then turned and walked out. The second the door shut, I collapsed into my chair and breathed deep. Not because I was shaken, because I was clean. For the first time since this entire mess started, I didn't feel like the victim anymore. I felt like the survivor. She hasn't contacted me since. I don't know who the father is. Don't care. Don't ask. Because some ghosts? You have to let stay dead. You ever notice how people only remember your worth when they run out of options? That's what happened with my parents. They spent over a year pretending I was the overreacting son, the one who couldn't let go, the one who chose bitterness over family. But when everything came crashing down, they remembered I existed. It started with a voicemail. I hadn't heard my dad's voice since Easter. The last time I saw him, he couldn't even look me in the eye when I read Mom's old letter out loud at dinner. But now his tone was desperate. Chris, it's your dad. We've hit a bit of a rough patch. The condo didn't work out. Jason's out of state, and we haven't heard from him in weeks. I know we haven't talked, but your mother and I were hoping we might stay with you. Just until we get back on our feet. Just until. That phrase again. The same one Emily used. The same one Jason used. Like I was some revolving door for the broken and the selfish. I didn't call back. But that didn't stop them. 2 days later, they showed up, knocking at my door, suitcase in hand, like they were visiting old friends, not the son they gaslit, dismissed, and betrayed. My mother tried to smile. We were just in the neighborhood. I didn't even fake a grin. You drove 3 hours to be in the neighborhood? Dad jumped in, voice tight. Look, Chris, we know things haven't been perfect, but your brother's gone. Emily's out of our lives. We want to rebuild. Rebuild? They wanted a foundation from a house they helped burn down. I leaned against the doorway. Calm. Cold. The guest room's already rented out. That was a lie, but I said it like it was fact. My mom blinked, confused. Rented? You never said anything about, it's none of your business who I live with anymore, I said. You made your choice. Now you live with it. She stepped forward. Please, Chris. We're your parents. You're all we have left. And I was your son. But when I needed you, you were Jason's defense lawyers and Emily's cheer squad. So no, you can't stay here. She started to cry. Real tears this time. Dad's jaw tensed. We're not asking for much. You already took everything, I said. Now you're just upset the well's dry. I didn't yell, didn't raise my voice. But it hit like a slap anyway. They turned to leave. And just before they reached the car, my mom turned around one last time. You'll regret this. I paused, then looked her dead in the eye. No, you will. They drove off. And as their car disappeared down my street, I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel broken either. I felt like someone who had finally closed the door and meant it. That night, I stood in the doorway of my empty guest room, the one that had never been rented, the one that had always been ready for the right people and never used. I left it dark, and I shut the door. Epilogue: it's been a year. Jason never came back. Emily had the baby. I think she moved states again. My parents downsized into a one-bedroom somewhere outside Wichita. As for me, I'm good. I don't miss them. Not because I'm heartless, but because I've finally started to love the version of myself they were never willing to see. Quiet, steady, loyal. The one they mistook for weak, until he stopped carrying their weight. So now I want to ask you, if your entire family betrayed you, then came crawling back when their lives fell apart, would you take them in? Would you be the bigger person? Or would you finally choose yourself? Let me know in the comments. Because sometimes forgiveness isn't about letting people back in. It's about locking the door they walked out of and throwing away the spare key.